Hello, everyone. I'm Eilish Byrne. I don't know if you all know what I do. I work for Indiana University. I'm the Enterprise Financial Systems Manager, and I'm also the Kuali Financial System Project Manager. I'm here to talk to you about the KFS roadmap. So a little bit of background. I took over as the KFS Project Manager in November of 2011. During our implementation of KFS at IU. Previously, I'd served on the project team in several different capacities. When I took over, the team was trying to get Release 5 out the door, which was primarily focused. There were a number of enhancements, but the primary focus was the upgrade to RISE 2.0. That ended up being challenging and took us until early 2012 to get it out. Along the way, we accepted a number of contributions from the partners, and then since then, we have been focused entirely on accepting contributions. So you should all have a copy of the roadmap that I shared with Luzon, and the first line there reflects the fact that we have been working on a continuous cycle of accepting bug fixes, code extensibility improvements, and performance improvements. We constantly have a patch open where we're accepting those types of contributions from partners. In parallel to that, we've been working on integrating a larger contribution, a new module, travel and entertainment. And that module was a collaboration between a subset of the partners, and we've been working on bringing it into the delivered software. And that is scheduled for internal release in April. We just had a tester face-to-face for that. The project team and several testers from various institutions participated at IU a few weeks ago, and that went very well. After getting TEM out, we're going to be doing another round of enhancement contributions from the partners. We've been trying to get as many contributions in as we can before the KRAD JPA upgrade so that the project team can upgrade that code for partners rather than them being responsible for that themselves. And that's scheduled for release in August. That long bar reflects the fact that we actually started working on the proposals for those contributions in, I think they were all due in November of 2013. So we have a formal process where people create JIRAs in the KFS contributions queue. There's a lot of information that we require, particularly in terms of impacts, whether there's any data changes, data structure changes, all of that information we gather as part of that process. And then the Kuali Financial Functional Council does a high-level review of all of the contributions submitted for that cycle and just identifies any that they have particular concerns about so that we can note those concerns, or, you know, in some cases they might just say, we don't think this belongs in a delivered financial system. So that's kind of the first step of our contribution review process. Once a contribution gets past that step, the functional subcommittee with the appropriate expertise, say it's a contribution regarding the requisition, then that would be the purchasing subcommittee, the purchasing vendor subcommittee, would review that contribution in detail. At that point, the partner would have had to fill out the functional enhancement specifications template, and the subcommittee would review that. They might make changes, such as saying that certain aspects of what the partner did need to be configurable, because not all partners or institutions in general would want things to behave exactly that way. And then once that part of the review process is complete, the technical review process occurs. So as things flow through and are approved by the subcommittees, the partner completes a technical specification template, and then the technical review occurs. So in terms of the enhancement contribution cycle 2, In April and May is when the partners that have been contributing will actually be committing that code, and then June, July, and August is the quality assurance phase for that particular release. Contracts and grants billing is another significant contribution that we're accepting that was a collaboration between a subset of the partners. It's a particularly complicated one, although it's not a new module. It represents a significant enhancement to accounts receivable in KFS, as well as the contracts and grants module of KFS and Kuali Days. So when you're using the financial system, you can opt to use the delivered contracts and grants module or install it with Kuali Days for research administration. And then, of course, you always have the option to instead override things and integrate with a different research administration system. But for contracts and grants billing, there's been significant coordination with the Kuali Days team because that impacts the existing integration that we have with Kuali Days. We recently extended the timeline for this because as we got into QA and got further into the code, we discovered some things that we really needed to address before moving to KRAD JPA. Otherwise, they would hold up that timeline. So we recently extended the timeline for that to January of 2015. One of the things that we were planning on doing as part of the KRAD JPA upgrade is moving to Maven. I think maybe all of the other projects are in Maven now, but KFS, the old grandfather that kind of kicked all this off, is still on an older technology for builds and deployments of the application. So it's time for us to upgrade that. However, the first step of that upgrade needs to be a fairly significant restructuring of the project, and that restructuring needs to be carefully coordinated. We wanted to make sure that the extension of the timeline for contracts and grants billing did not impact our ability to get started on the KRAD JPA upgrade. So given the extended timeline for contracts and grants billing, we are going to do those structural preparations for moving to Maven as part of 5.4, the contracts and grants billing release. And then you see that while we're working on KRAD JPA and Maven, we will continue to accept contributions from partners, non-enhancement contributions. And in November, we'll really, as we get started on KRAD JPA, our first focus initially will be that the RICE team has written a set of scripts that will automate all of the aspects of the conversion that can be automated, a lot of the JPA configuration, maintenance document conversions, going from the data dictionary as it stands now to the KRAD data dictionary. So one of the first things we'll want to do is obviously we have our own extensions to the nervous system infrastructure and KFS. So we'll have some KFS specific conversion scripts to write and also just some decisions to make about how we want to migrate. One sort of key point to understand about the KFS KRAD JPA upgrade that is different from others is while Kuali Days is doing, sort of a staggered upgrade to KRAD and JPA in conjunction with doing user experience work, KFS is going to be doing a straight conversion to KRAD and JPA. We're working with the RICE team and the user experience group on a standard mapping from the nervous system to KRAD. So basically, if this control is used on whatever screen in the application in the nervous system, we want that to be this control in JPA. That's the type of thing that we need to figure out in order to do just a straightforward standard mapping. We decided to do things that way initially and get things out the door as soon as possible so that we could, kind of contain the scope of that upgrade for partners, simplify it as much as possible because it's going to be a very significant conversion for partners as it is. and they have a lot of customizations that they're going to need to upgrade, and we didn't want to complicate that with any, further changes or non-standard changes. We just wanted to do a very simple conversion initially. One of the things that we'll want to tackle very soon after we get that release out the door is user experience for the components that have the broadest impact. For example, procurement and travel are used by all faculty, staff, and some affiliates. So we'll want to really evaluate the procurement and travel functions from a user experience perspective soon after we move to KRAD and JPA, and do a more significant overhaul of those functions with, other functions to follow according to priority once those are done. So again, that 6.0 is an internal release, and we've had our best success in the past when we have partnered with, when the project team has collaborated with, one or more partners for a given upgrade, because there are significant things that we can't effectively test without having the magnitude of data that a partner has, or the more expensive, sophisticated load testing or security testing tools that partners have. So we will be identifying 1 to 3 partners to work with us on upgrading to KRAD JPA and doing regression, load, security, testing, and we'll allocate a period of time, likely 6 months to a year, to react to any findings that come out of that. And then we'll do a public release, 6.01 or 6.1, likely 6.1, but assuming we don't have to change anything too significant, it would be 6.01. On this roadmap, I have also highlighted the other application releases that are pertinent to us at this point in time. RISE 2.5 is significant to us. We waited to move to KRAD and JPA until RISE released a K&S equivalent version of KRAD, until basically RISE had everything in KRAD that we're already leveraging in the nervous system. So that RISE 2.5 release is important to KFS. We're relying on that to start our KRAD JPA upgrade. And then the Kuali COEUS CGB entry there is just reflecting we don't have a firm, COEUS really doesn't have a roadmap with versions identified going out that far at this point, but early next year, kind of corresponding to the contracts and grants billing release, there will also be some release of Kuali COEUS that includes that side of the changes for contracts and grants billing. So that's a high-level overview. I mentioned user experience for procurement and travel. Other things that folks are interested in is, the board is talking about a common baseline. A number of partners have managed to keep up with contributions along the way, but there are also a number that have not had, either had the local resources or been able to prioritize contributing, and there's interest from the board in, at some point, potentially post KRAD JPA, dedicating a significant period of time to basically catching all of the partners up with their contributions, so that we kind of have a clean slate and can wipe away some technical debt going forward. Michigan State and Kuali Davis, UC Davis also collaborated on a material management KFS project. It's actually a separate application related to sort of B2B functionality and stores. So that's something that the project is interested in seeing more official support for at some point in the future as well. So I will pause there and just open the floor up for questions or comments.
Elish, it seems like there's no further questions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you
Sure.
have a good day further, and thank you for the contribution.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.